Passion is an output, not an input. It's something we feel when we are working in something we love and care about. Passion is what we feel when we work with people who we care for and care about us. It's got nothing to do with how many hours we work or how hard we work or the stress we feel. It's to do with whether all of that feels worth it. I feel fulfilled by all of it. So passion is definitely an output, which is why it's so important to understand our why. It's why it's so important to contribute to the culture that we're working in, because we want to give to the people we work with, not just take from them. We want to work in cooperation with the people. All of that contributes to that magical feeling of passion. I think a lot of companies don't realize that working remotely and building community and trust actually requires more work, not less work. It's not just like, think of it like school. You can't just have a 50-minute class and repeat, all the time and expect kids to learn as easily. You've got to change the way it works. It's the same thing here. So we think about community. Do people have the skills? Do they have the human skills to build that community, to build those relationships? Things like active listening, things like how to have an effective confrontation, things like how to give and receive feedback. These are absolutely necessary skills that we aren't learning. So I think companies have a huge opportunity to teach people those skills. But there's a couple things. One is I love working in teams. I love working with people. And the feeling of accomplishing something with somebody is, for me, the best. So relationship really matters. And the other thing is I'm a sucker for people who serve those who serve others. I can be brought to tears when I hear stories of somebody who sacrificed themselves, their interests for the good of others. So meeting those people who give and serve in work or in life, I love that. That really feeds me. We think we have to be positive all the time. We don't. Human beings are feelings. Human beings have feelings. I guess that's good. Like, we are feeling. Human beings have feelings, and we can't deny those feelings. If you're sad, be sad. Allow yourself to be sad. If you're angry, allow yourself to be angry. But just label it. I'm sad. I'm angry. And I think where it becomes dangerous is when we try and suppress it and pretend that we don't have those things because we have to be happy all the time. But allow yourself to be human, I think, is the most important thing. And just be honest with yourself about how you feel. The more one tries to suppress negativity, the more it feeds on itself. It's like a valve. When you let it out, it releases the pressure. Most importantly, to let it out to another human being. I think we live in this world where, people stand by themselves. Too many people stand by themselves in their rooms with their phones and make a video for TikTok and say how they're feeling. But you're in a room by yourself talking to a piece of technology. You're not actually talking to a person. But to have that exact same conversation with another human being where you're looking them in the eye is actually much more difficult, even if you were to say the exact same words. And I think there's awesome power in being able to share how you honestly feel with others, and that others have the skill set to hold that space. Not try and fix anything. And I think that's the mistake we make when our friends come to us. We try and fix. Don't fix, just hold space. That's a magical thing that when you do it. Takes courage, but it's a magical thing. I'm like, what's making you so negative? I never say why so negative, because it's, ironically, the question why is actually, it's an emotional question. It can be perceived as aggressive. I'm like, what's making you so negative? Like, there's a lot of good things happening here. I want to know more. So replacing judgment with curiosity is one part. The other thing is to just allow them to feel that way. So it's like, oh yeah, I hear you, acknowledging the negativity, and then sort of moving on. But I also find that being focused on where the future is important. And by the way, not all negativity is bad. People who, are sometimes very often criticized at work because they're always pointing out the problems, and you hear bosses say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. It's like, well, if I knew the solution, I wouldn't be coming to you. There's two types of negative Nellies. There's one that is always negative and offers no solution and stands on the sidelines. I don't need those people in an organization.
Sure.
But the people who constantly bring problems, but they're willing to roll up their sleeves and try and find a solution, those people are extremely valuable inside an organization, because they're helping us see things and cover our blind spots that we're not seeing. And they're willing to roll up their sleeves. So not all negativity is bad. It's what we do with that negativity afterwards. We're willing to work together, or willing to just sort of lean back and lean out. It's not about judgment. It's about allowing somebody to be negative, but at the same time, we want to redirect, right?
Right.
And like I said, I'll say it. I don't know what's making you negative.
Yeah.
Tell me more. We in our company have a rule, which is if the reaction is above a 5, it's about something else. It's like, why did you leave the fridge open? It's like, clearly not about the fridge.
Right.
You always leave the fridge open. Okay, do not react about the fridge.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it's the same thing. We find that in work. Like, people sometimes get very amped up about something, and you sort of pay attention, like, that reaction to what we're talking about don't match. This is about something else. And this is where good leadership and good human skills come into play, which is, are you able to read the room and figure out what's going on here? Are they having a bad day? Is there something else? Or is there something that I don't know about the work that we're doing that I can easily help address and fix? Or did somebody just hangry or tired? And that's okay too. I have my life, I am doing my things, and but I don't let other people's negativity affect me, because it's their life, it's their story. I don't know what's going on. Now, if it's a close relationship, clearly, and someone's in your space, or you have a close working relationship with somebody and somebody's in your space and clearly they're negative, but you can address that. Again, this goes back to those human skills. I love how we keep coming here,
yes.
Which is, so many of us, companies so rarely teach us the human skills of how to have difficult conversations. So if somebody's constantly negative and it is actually bringing you or the team down, how do you address that without making it overly aggressive? How do you address that in a way that they will hear you? And so the ability to say, I need to have a difficult conversation with you. In Thursday's meeting, you were so negative. It brought the team's energy down. And I fear that if you continue to bring that negative energy to all of our meetings, that it's going to demoralize the team. And then learn to be quiet and allow somebody to soak that in. Like that interaction, we don't teach that. And so usually it comes out wrong, and usually it escalates, or usually we avoid it. We get passive aggressive at work as well. And so things never get addressed. But I think learning the skills of difficult human interaction, but by the way, human interaction is very often difficult, is a massive opportunity for corporate America today.
What's the most inspirational experience you've ever had?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I've had the most inspirational experience. For me, again, it's seeing other people light up. I get inspired when I hear stories of people who've maybe used my work to start a business or profoundly turn their lives around. Where people take risk and are willing to work together to do difficult things, those stories inspire me. In terms of my own personal experience, I do a lot of work with the military, and the opportunity to spend time with people who have devoted their lives to service. I get very, very inspired when I spend time with, and I've met some wonderful, fantastic leaders who are not big Steve Jobs visionaries.
Sure.
And I've met some amazing leaders who don't seem to have sort of that bounce off the wall charisma. They're sort of the quiet one sitting in the corner. I am comfortable saying, however, that great leaders, the best leaders I've ever met, they will have courage. Leadership is extremely difficult. Sometimes it's thankless, it's lonely. When things go right, you have to give away the credit. When things go wrong, you have to take all the responsibility. Well, that sucks. And it's sometimes the gains are sometimes not immediate. And it takes tremendous amount of courage to lead. What's more, we talk about integrity. I think integrity takes courage. To speak truth to power, to do the right thing in the face of overwhelming pressure to do the opposite. All of these things take courage, which I think begs the question, then where does courage come from? I don't believe that courage is an internal fortitude where you dig down deep and find the courage. I think courage is external. It's like, a world famous trapeze artist has the courage to try a brand new death-defying act for the first time with a net. He wouldn't try it without the net. It's the net that gave him the courage. And I think so too is it for human beings, that the quality of our relationships give us courage. You talk to folks in uniform who do heroic things. They'll never say it was for God or country. It was for the person to the left or the person to the right. It was the quality of the relationships. And so for us to build courage, what we have to do is invest in relationships. Because when you're facing a very difficult situation, an ethical challenge, a work challenge, whatever it is, all we need is one person in our lives who says, I've got your back. I believe in you. You have to do this. It's the right thing to do. And if everything goes sideways, don't worry, I'll be there with you. I mean, even just talking about it, you feel like you have renewed energy. And so if you have one person in your life who can provide that for you, at work or at home, you'll be amazed the amount of courage you have to do the right thing and to lead. So I love the idea of learning. And so First of all, to make yourself better, you have to recognize that you're not an expert in anything. I'm an expert in nothing. I'm a student in the things that I do, and I may be a more advanced student than some people, but there's always more to learn. So number one is I never think of any ceiling. I always think of the opportunity for constant learning. And two, I like being the idiot in the room. Like, I like spending time with people who are smarter than me and don't feel the need to compete against them or prove that I know as much or more than they do. In fact, I'm very open about it. And it kind of goes when we talked about our feelings, when you sort of say, I'm sad, I'm angry, the ability to put that out there, the ability to put out in the room, you guys know more than I do, or I'm the idiot here. It actually provides relief to you. Forget about that. It provides relief to you that you can be the idiot in the room and you can soak in new information. So it's one of my favorite things to say to people, which is, you know more about this than I do.